Hi, I'm Gia Ferrari, and you're watching The Boulet Brothers Dragula Season 3, Episode 1, Boogie-O! Mama. Oh my god, you guys, finally, Season 3 is here after 84 years of waiting, and bitches, it was worth the wait. The budget that they have this year, girl, you can tell that Amazon is giving them some real good money because everything was streamlined, the audio was amazing quality, the boulets looked amazing, everything about this premiere was spot on. So let's get right into it. So the episode starts off, as usual, with a skit from the boulets, which I think was great. I thought it was, it was cute, it was short, it wasn't 45 minutes long like it was in Season 2, and I really enjoyed it. And then we get right into meeting the queens. I was a bit disappointed that they didn't have like a big reveal. Like in Season 1, they had their heads covered in like this burlap sack, and in Season 2, they came out of trash bags or body bags. So I was kind of hoping that for this season, they would maybe come out of a coffin, come out of a butthole or something, but they were just standing there, so I thought it was a little anticlimactic, but I did like the way they introduced everybody so that we did get to meet every queen, and each boulet said something about, like, oh, Gia Ferrari, are you gonna race to the end, or something like that? I don't know, I really enjoyed meeting each queen, because I know Season 2 last year, we barely got anything from Felony Dodger, and then she went home, and it's like, who is that? So as far as our entrance looks go, my top 3 really quickly was Dahlia Black. I really loved her look. She looked really, she looked glamorous, but like really dark at the same time. I thought it was beautiful. Eva Destruction, I really liked her look. Her makeup is incredible. Her look was, it was a really good look. And Yovska, she looked spooky, kooky, pazooky, and I enjoyed it. I'm not really going to get into too much detail about everybody else's look, but I am going to say that Violencia's look, girl, I don't know. It was really bad for me, just with like the donut that she got at the Los Angeles County Fair and the donuts on her titties and her tutu. It was not cute. Girl, it looked very cheap to me, and I honestly hated it. So they have like a mini challenge, which isn't really much of a challenge because it's really just, they have these compacts and they open them, and it's either like a regular compact with a regular mirror, or it has a spider, or it has like a star. I think it was a star. And if you open it up and you have a blank, like you're just looking at yourself, you're safe. If you open it up and you have a star, which Madeline Hatter did, she won a 7-night stay to like some resort in some place, I don't know, Mar-a-Lago in Florida, who knows. She won a 7-night stay just for opening a compact. Like, bitch, I want to open up a compact and win 7-night stay somewhere. And then Landon Sider, he opened up his compact and he got a spider. So for his punishment, it was like a mini extermination challenge. He had to get a chalice full of spiders. I don't know what kind of spiders, probably non-venomous. And he had to pretty much chug that shit. He had to swallow it. He had to eat the spiders, basically. And so what he does is, right away, he shows no fear and is like, let's do this shit. So he gets the chalice, pours it into his mouth, and he's just like eating all these spiders, and I'm just like, what the fick? Actually, I probably would have done it. They're probably very protein, get these gains up. But that shit's gross. But I did notice, and let me tell you, I probably saw like 5 spiders fall onto his shoulders and scuttle away. So did he really win? Because he didn't eat them all. They fell and they ran away. Landon, you cheated. I see. So then it goes into the boudoir workroom segment, and I really like that they actually have like a set this time, and it was kind of like a haunted mansion from Disneyland type of thing. And they were just talking, kikiing, and I really enjoyed it. It just felt very streamlined, very, to the point. It wasn't kind of jumbled like the last couple of seasons. They actually had direction. So I did like that. Something that did kind of, I don't want to say it bothered me, but it was a little, it seemed very manufactured, was all the talking heads that were like included. It just felt very forced. I kind of just like that natural drama to occur instead of like, let me add a talking head here that might not be relevant to this exact situation, but it kind of fits. You know what I mean? So a few moments from the workroom, I got kind of taken aback by Madeline Hatter and the way when Yoska mispronounced her name as Madeline and how she got very defensive about it. I don't know, it kind of rubbed me the wrong way a little bit. I think it's because a lot of people tell me sometimes that I'm mispronouncing words. And it's like, I can't help it. I'm a Mexican ass bitch. I'm sorry that I don't know how to pronounce words. But I don't know, just the way she was like, girl, you speak English. Like, you're not stupid. I don't know, it kind of rubbed me the wrong way a little bit. So Madeline Hatter right now is kind of like, I'm a little iffy about her. And then with Hollow Eve and the way she kind of brought up the problematicness of the word and how it implies, you know, dirty anatomy of a biological woman. I kind of see where she's coming from with that. It's not really my place to give an opinion. I do agree with her, but I am a cisgender man, so what do I know? I'm just gonna leave it at that. If you guys have any comments on that, you know, just leave it below and what do you think? Let's get into this floor show. So their challenge was they had to come out with looks that basically were super villains. Very simple, very to the point, just a super villain. Let's go through each contestant. So first up is Yoska. I absolutely loved her look. I like how she had like the spinning like spiral wheel. It was very RPG boss. I loved everything about it. I did like that she played with makeup this time. So instead of relying on her mask to have the same aesthetic, she showed that, you know what, bitch? I can do makeup too. And it might not be your conventional like drag queen makeup. It was just, she went with the same like spooky ooky kooky look with no mask. And I loved it. And then we have Saint Lucia. And I thought she looked very like darkly beautiful. She had like this, it looked like a golden mask to me covering her, and she had roses everywhere, and she was like throwing a knife, which I would have been scared. If I was throwing a knife, my hand would have fallen right off. But she came out, she looked very ethereal, very beautiful. I loved St. Lucia's look. It was very, to me, very like understated, but it was simple but stunning. And then we have Eva Destruction, and her look was an A+ to me. It was very reminiscent of like Maleficent in Maleficent, with like all like the snakes or whatever they were coming out of her head and her shoulders and her arms. I did like the cape and the bodysuit. Everything just, it worked for me. It wasn't necessarily like a comic book villain, but it was definitely very Disney villain, very, you know, bitch, I'm here, and she looked stunning to me. And then we had Miss Madeline Hatter, and honestly, like, she looked good. Her makeup was good, her big red hair was good, her bodysuit was good, but the look to me was just very predictable. It wasn't that memorable. To me, out of all 11 looks, hers was the least memorable to me. Hers was the one that I had to actually be like, let me go back and look at it so that I can boo view this, because I don't remember what she wore. She looked good, but it was just kind of like, eh. And then we have Violencia exclamation point. And her look, I actually really liked. Like, she had like this meat idea that the meat industry is, you know, a villain. And so she came out with meat glasses. She had like butcher knives as nails. And I agree with Fifi O'Hara, who was a judge. I agree what she said about when she raised her arms and the cape came up. It really reminded me of going into a meat freezer at the deli. And I actually enjoyed it. It was very campy. It wasn't dark or super villainy, but I enjoyed it a lot. And, you know, I thought she looked really good. And then we have Miss Priscilla Chambers, who, first of all, from like the boudoir workroom and her talking heads, she is a funny ass bitch. I absolutely love Priscilla Chambers. She's easily one of my favorites personality wise. Her look was amazing. She had like this USA inspired look where like USA is the villain. She had like this mohawk, she had one eyebrow, she was smoking a cigar. I thought it was really good. I kind of wish that maybe she would have come out with some kind of weapon. I feel like her look was amazing, but it was missing really something that kind of really took it to, you know, to that level that it needs to be. But, you know, she looked amazing. You know, a weapon would have helped, but she did great. And then is Miss Louisiana Purchase. And she came out as like a sex kind of dominatrix with a whip. Very 30s, 40s kind of vibe. I liked her look, I did. But it didn't really get there. It was just a simple look. She came out. I don't like comparing queens, especially to like Drag Race queens, because it's separate. But it kind of reminded me of just Violet Chachki coming out, just, you know, as a dominatrix. I really wish she would have done something more. Maybe, I don't know, just something that really would have pushed it further. She had mentioned in the workroom that she was going to do like whip tricks or something. I really wish she would have shown that. Just, you know, I don't know, something else to push it further, because it was just very basic for me. She looked amazing, but it wasn't at the level that I would have liked for it to be, especially for the first episode of Dragula, where you want to really stand out. And then we have Maxi Glamour, and her look was not my favorite. She kind of had like this cyborg thing going on her head, but then she had like this cape that was ugly. It was, I don't know, it was like this doily kind of fabric, but it was just very like square. I feel like if you go back to Violencia's, hers, when she lifted her arms, it had like this taper to it. But Maxi, hers was just it was just square, and it looked stiff, and it just looked very crafty. And I understand that, you know, queens come from different budgets, so some of them might have a much higher budget where they can afford to have these amazing looks created, and then some other queens have to be a little more crafty and, you know, use what they have. And I understand that. And, you know, Maxi's look, to me, it was just, you know, I kind of see what she was going for. It was just kind of, I wish it would have been more focused as to, if she was going to go with the cyborg, go with the cyborg. If she was going to go with like this doily kind of regal thing, go with that. She didn't look awful, but it definitely wasn't my favorite of the night. And then we have Miss Dahlia Black. And Dahlia, when she came out, automatically I can see Dahlia Black in a comic book, in Marvel, DC, I don't know, whatever. She looked so good. She had these big old titties. She had a belt with a big old D on it. She had the cape. She had the hair. Her makeup, all her makeup, not just her eye makeup, everything looked amazing. I thought she did a fantastic job for a supervillain. I can definitely see her in like a movie. And then we have Landon Cider, and honestly, I love Landon. He is an amazing drag king, and I've been, you know, following him for a long time because he is local to, you know, I'm from Southern California, he's from Long Beach, so I know him. Landon's look was kind of a disappointment to me. It was, you know, he had like these tentacles coming down right here on his like chest area, and he had kind of like a cape and then pants, but I don't know, I feel like maybe he should have pulled the tentacles up to like make it a beard to kind of look like Cthulhu. Is that how you pronounce it? Cthulhu? I have no idea, I'm Mexican. But I don't know, maybe pull it up to like a beard, and then, I don't know, everything from the abs down was kind of just weak to me. And also, the way that he was doing the runway, I know that like when a drag queen comes out and does a runway, you know, it's very easy to just go into that, you know, fierce strut and, you know, flip your hair kind of thing. But when you're a drag king and you're coming out being a little bit more butch, a little bit more, you know, masculine, I feel like his walk kind of just felt a little clunky. And, you know, I know that the challenge is not about how you're walking, it's about your look, but everything just felt kind of awkward to me. I was disappointed with Landon, and I love Landon, so I hope that he definitely steps up his game. So then we have Hollow Eve, and Hollow Eve has this thing where she kind of does like body mutilation type of thing. And so when she came out in her entrance look, she had staples in her face. So she had, I think it was Priscilla, correct me if I'm wrong. I can't really remember off the top of my head. But she had her taking out the staples with like some pincers. And it was like, ooh, that's kind of weird. So when she comes out for her main challenge, she has, again, staples in her face with like these strings attached to her fingers, attached to the staples, so she's pulling on her face. I think she has like a naturally just very flexible face, so it might not really hurt her that much. So she's doing this thing as a supervillain, which I think is like, wow, like this is really, it's filth. This is what filth is all about, making you cringe. But then everything else below the neck was disappointing. It was kind of just, it was very basic. So the entire look was focused, the entire gag was focused on her face and pulling on her face. But then everything else was kind of like, meh. Like if she was a supervillain and this was her thing, where she had her fingers caught on her face and pulling her face, you know, how is she gonna attack you? She's a supervillain. Her fingers are busy. How's she gonna wipe her ass? Alright, so after the floor show, we find out that the top 3 are Dahlia, Priscilla, and Eva. And the bottom 3 are Maxi, Violencia, and Louisiana. So I agree with the top 3. I think Yovska could have also definitely been up there, maybe replaced Priscilla. They were very close, but it was definitely a good choice for top 3. As far as the bottom 3 goes, I feel like maybe Violencia should not have been in the bottom. I think it could have been either Landon or maybe even Madeline. Probably more Landon. It just, I don't know, it felt like a very weak look to me. But I definitely do think that Violencia should not have been on the bottom. So the winner of this challenge is Dahlia Black, which I think I definitely agree with. She definitely looked the most supervillain straight from a comic book. I do think, however, that the Boulets didn't, when they said the challenge was supervillain, it didn't feel very specific. Like, it could have been from anything. So you got somebody like Yovska, who looks like an RPG villain, or somebody like Eva Destruction, who looks like a Disney villain, and then somebody like Dahlia, who won, who did a comic book villain. But I feel like what they were looking for was a dark and sexy supervillain from a comic book, which I think is why Dahlia ended up winning. She looked incredible, and she deserved that win. But I think they should have been a little bit more specific about what they were looking for. So from the bottom 3, they save Louisiana, and the bottom 2 ends up being Maxi Glamour and Violencia exclamation point. And I've already said that I don't think that Violencia should have been in that bottom 3. So if it was between them 3, I really think that Louisiana should have been in the bottom, because her look, while it was beautiful and she looked great, it didn't meet the challenge. So I was a little disappointed that Violencia ended up in the bottom 2 with Maxi. And for their extermination challenge, they had to skydive. They had to jump out of an airplane, fly at 1,000,000 miles per hour down toward the earth, and survive. And I survived. I just jumped off of an airplane right now. That's why I'm still wearing my skydiving suit. So I'm still gonna be here in Dragula. I'm gonna win the $25,000. But unfortunately, Violencia, she's terrified of heights. And so they made this big thing in the episode that, like right before the extermination challenge, that she was really scared. She didn't want to go through with it. She didn't think she could do it because she's really terrified, and this was like the last thing she ever wanted to do. And then we have Louisiana, I think it was Louisiana Purchase. She was comforting her and telling her, you know what, like, you need to be in this show, like, jump out of that airplane, you'll stay, and I'll help you to really progress in this show and you know, do better. Unfortunately, once they got onto the airplane, Violencia, she couldn't go through with it. It was too much. Fear overtook her, and I kind of understand where that's coming from. There are some fears of mine that I'm not sure if I would be able to pull through, like having to maybe be surrounded by rats or something. I hate rats. I hate rodents. So if they ever told me, if I was in Dragonland, they told me you're gonna lay down in a coffin, we're gonna throw some rats on you, I'd be like, peace out, bitch, I'm going, bye. So that's what Violencia decided to do. She couldn't do the jump, and she walked out of the plane, which I think was good because she probably would have lost her wig, and that wig looked really cute. So if she would have jumped, bye wig. But Maxi, she still had to do it. I think if Maxi would have been like, well, Violencia's not doing it, I'm not doing it, she probably would have gone home too, because I feel like the Boulets are not playing this season. So Maxi did end up jumping. Her bald cap stayed on somehow. But at the end of the day, unfortunately, Violencia exclamation point got killed. They killed that bitch. They found her walking in an alley. They got a hammer and they crushed her to death, and then they put her in some sort of pot to boil to make some beef stew for grandma tomorrow. So that was the episode, guys. What did you guys think? Did you guys agree with the top 3? Did you guys agree with the bottom 3? Did you guys agree with who won? Who went home? What do you guys think about the word? Anything that you guys think about this episode, maybe something that I missed, leave in the comments below. We will read them. We read every single comment. Make sure you leave a like. Make sure you subscribe if you haven't already. If you are subscribed, thank you for watching. Make sure you hit the little bell. I don't know where it is because YouTube is always updating, but hit that bell. And make sure you follow me on Instagram at Miss Gia Ferrari. And I will see you guys next week for episode 2. Oh.